Global newscasts reported breaking reports that something strange was happening in the world. A sharp increase in car accidents, fires, and accidents that even led religious figures to talk about the end of the world. 2 days before, Ulysses, a young guy with fiery red hair and tiny wings behind his back, opens his eyes and looks around. A screen appears in front of Ulysses, on which he sees a brief description of what he has to do. He is Angelus, and his job is to keep people safe. Fred, the head of the department, gives from the screen 4 rules that Ulysses must follow. Follow the order of assignment every day and stay close to the assigned person. Don't show your face to the person. Don't help people not assigned to him. And never enter the boss's office. Quickly flipping through the brief manual, Ulysses finds the seal with his name on it and walks out of the room in which he has just appeared. As soon as the guy appears in the common room, the rest of the Angelus freeze in surprise. It's been 300 years since the boss created new angels. Fred greets the new guy, and the first thing he does is lead him to a machine through which the boss introduces the angels to the people. According to the boss, there is such a machine in all the departments around the world, and it is the only way Angelus communicates with God. Wanda, a similarly fiery-haired Angelus, is in charge of distribution, and every morning she gives the employees the names of their people. The whole shift the Protector has to spend with the mentee, and at the end you have to submit the report, which will be sent to the repository of reports. Ulysses is assigned mentors, Greta and Chun, who must show him how Angelus's day goes and teach the kid the principles of protection. The new guy notices a door that catches his attention, but Greta reminds him of the basic rule of never entering the boss's office. Ulysses starts to annoy Greta after a couple of minutes, but the girl has to endure and constantly pulls back the overly curious newcomer, who is constantly trying to make contact with people. Ulysses's first shift falls to a nearsighted girl, whom Greta pulls her glasses on so she doesn't hurt herself. Along the way, the angel sees the danger to others, but his mentor forbids him to even hold the cage that fell on the salesman so as not to break the rule of not helping people you are not assigned to. The next shift, the guy is on duty with Chun, and they get a teenager who likes to amuse himself, which Angelus watches closely. While the experienced angel is distracted, Ulysses sees a girl on the street helping a homeless man. Out of curiosity, the newcomer follows to rescue her, and as he watches her put a bandage on the wounded man, Ulysses decides that he wants to become just as brave and change the world. Fred does not like such an initiative. He reminds the newcomer of the rules and warns of the severity of the punishment. But it does not change anything. Already on the night shift, Ulysses breaks the first rule and helps a homeless man by breaking a window so that he can hide from the rain. After being reprimanded by his mentors, Ulysses consequently breaks the second rule. He goes to the boss's office to discuss the matter with him. But the boss is not there. Instead, Ulysses sees a huge mechanism similar to lottery drums, which pair angels and people, sending these combinations to the departments. And this complex system is set in motion by a tiny hamster running in a wheel. Having carefully studied the mechanism, Ulysses returns to the hamster wheel, and for some reason decides to touch it, once again miscalculating his strength. The hamster flies against the wall, and the wheel stops, along with the work of the units in the wards around the world. Ulysses tricks the mentors into the boss's office and tells them a terrible secret that there is no boss, and for 80,000 years they have been performing the tasks the hamster sets them. By the way, the guy managed to resuscitate the hamster, but it seems he broke his paw, and now it is unlikely that he will be able to spin the wheel as before. The trio goes to the vet, the amateur cheerleader, and Ulysses manages to become visible and asks the doctor to help his old hamster. Chun reminds his ward that he has broken another rule and is about to be punished, but 4 hours pass and nothing happens to Ulysses. But the situation in the world heats up. Because the wheel has stopped and all the defenders are left without tasks, the hospitals are overflowing with injured people. To fix the problem, Ulysses instructs Chun to spin the wheel while the hamster is being treated, and the system finally starts up again. Finally, everything goes back to normal, and Ulysses gets his first person, but the angel gets in new trouble. He has to bail out the homeless guy who was arrested for breaking the window, and Greta, frustrated that her boss is a hamster, refuses to help her colleague or anyone else. Ulysses has to deal with the homeless man himself, and after being at the station, he decides to ask Miriam for help, the girl who has already helped the guy on the road. Angelus has to become visible again and tell the girl about himself, but Miriam does not believe the story about the underworld until Ulysses disappears in front of her. Miriam agrees to help the angel, but to do so she has to tell her boyfriend again that she has no time for him. The homeless man is set free thanks to Miriam and Ulysses, and the two go their separate ways. The vent finally gives the angel the hamster, and Ulysses frees his friend who has been spinning the wheel all along. Once gathered, the friends discuss what to do next, and together they decide not to tell anything to the other Angelus, lest the world plunges into chaos. After learning that Ulysses has allowed his ward to be injured, Fred intends to accompany him for the entire shift. But already knowing that the rules can be broken, Angelus changes the balls and pairs himself with Miriam, and he distracts the boss by tossing him a nut and bolt, which Fred thinks have sacred meaning. The trio arrives at Miriam's apartment, where she's just packing up her ex-boyfriend, Richard. At first, Ulysses is going to make things right, but observing the girl, he comes to the conclusion that she needs someone else as wonderful as himself. Greta gets into the girl's phone, and the latest search engine queries amuse Angelus. After meeting Ulysses, Miriam wondered what angels look like under their clothes. Ulysses and Chun climb into the angel file cabinet to find Miriam and Richard's pairs. With the girl, there's no problem. Chun quickly finds a profile of a great guy who is perfect for her, but with depressed Richard, it's more difficult. And Angelus has to arrange everything so that the guy met his new fate as if by chance. After spending the whole day trying to put the bolt and nut together, Fred never succeeds, and the boss seems to think this is a sign that Ulysses is no match for them. The guy the angels picked up from Miriam arrives at the designated place, but Ulysses himself does not understand how it is that he spoils the young people's date and makes sure they're not together. While his colleagues are out of sight, Angelus shows up to his girlfriend again, and she immediately reciprocates. The couple spends the night together, and it is the most vivid experience Ulysses has ever had. Not wishing to be separated even for a day, Angelus plans to switch the balls again. But Fred prevents him from doing so, and this time he is already determined to test the new guy's work. Ulysses doesn't get upset. He decides to have a good day no matter what, and he succeeds. Angelus witnesses adult entertainment between his ward and his girlfriend. Having had too much champagne, Greta goes to Miriam's house and shows himself to her. In addition, inebriated Angelus asks the girl obscene questions about the night she spent with Ulysses, and asks for her help in gaining experience in such matters. While the friends are having fun, Chun has a tough day. His ward learns that her life is about to end. Watching how the old lady reacts to this news, Angelus decides to live her life as well and not follow the rules. In the evening, the whole trio goes to a human party where they manage to try different ways to cheer themselves up. And there they are spotted by one of their colleagues who immediately reports to Fred. Ulysses notices the boss and has no choice but to feed him cheerful powder so he won't fire Greta and Chun. The plan works. Fred spends the rest of the night partying with his subordinates. After seeing her girlfriend home, Ulysses hurries to work to find out how the night went with her friends and Fred. All three pretend that they are doing well, and Greta doesn't tell her buddies about her wings falling out. Fred is happy with the party too, and to keep up the momentum, he invites his subordinates to a performance by a well-known preacher in town who tells people about angels. Chun declines the invitation and instead finds a woman he has fallen in love with, and Angelus directly offers to spend the night together. Not being able to stand the preacher's nonsense from the stage, Ulysses shows himself to her and tells her the truth that in fact the angels are properly called Angelus, but they look and behave completely differently than she imagines. The girl doesn't need it. She likes to think that angels are Apollo with wings that can heal with the touch of a hand. Chun also tries to be honest. Before getting a new experience, he opens up to the woman and confesses to her that he is an angel. But it comes as too much of a shock for her. The preacher tells people about her interaction with Angelus and asks them to stop believing in higher power. Greta takes offense at her friend for this and asks him not to decide for everyone else what truths to tell. After the show, Ulysses goes to Miriam, and the couple in love wastes no time talking, unaware that Fred is watching them play, in shock. Fred demands that Wanda find information about how Ulysses will be punished. Meanwhile, the guy himself discusses with his girlfriend her love of astrology, and to support Miriam, Ulysses finds her regular clients. Greta tells Chun her secret about losing her feathers, deciding that this is her way out of life. But the boyfriend brings her hair loss shampoo, hoping to do something to help. On second thought, the guy finds another way. He takes Greta to the vet to try to figure out the cause of her feather loss, but all he can offer is a bird sub for molting feathers. A client comes to Miriam on a tip from Angelus, and the aspiring astrologer advises her to quit her job and start her life anew. Having checked the girl's personal file, Ulysses confesses to his girlfriend that he is not sure about her advice, and she agrees, but on the condition that he never reads what is archived on her. Chun takes Greta to a sorcerer, trying to find a way to save her friend, but the sorcerer also proves powerless, and all he offers is to give the dying Angelus peace and relaxation. Miriam's fascination with astrology leads her to want to break up with Angelus when she learns that he's a Scorpion and their signs are incompatible. To win back his lover, Ulysses breaks his promise and goes into her personal file, from where he learns that her date of birth was given incorrectly. But this news doesn't help the guy. Miriam breaks up with him because he read her file. Chun arrives to talk to the hamster and notices that his feathers are also beginning to fall out. At the same moment, Fred is about to do away with Ulysses and knocks him out. Greta helps her buddy, and the two of them handcuff Fred. But the boss manages to convince her subordinate that her wings are falling out because of the intruder. To prove his innocence, Ulysses is going to show his friend all the people he helped, but it turns out that there are no such people. All the people Angelus served were victims of circumstances and lost everything. Even Richard, who seemed happy all along, still misses Miriam. Ulysses realizes that the friends are right and is about to give up on Fred. But Greta recommends that her buddy not get too hot and take time off to think hard about everything. Angelus goes out of town to the sea and notices a man asking for help. Deciding he is on vacation and doesn't want to help anyone, Ulysses leaves, but at that moment his feathers start falling out as well. Angelus comes to Miriam and tells her about his trouble, but the girl thinks that there is nothing wrong with what is happening and that the falling out has some explanation. The veterinarian also has his own explanation. He suggests that Greta have her wings trimmed so they can grow back, and the girl agrees. But Chun is the first to be called in for the operation to take all the risks. Miriam's father accidentally throws a cigarette butt into a barrel, and Ulysses has to save the house from fire with his own backside, impressing his girlfriend. Inspecting the hole in the mirror, Ulysses notices new feathers on his wings, and he hurries to inform his friends, covering his backside with Miriam's leopard skin loafers. Rushing into the operating room, Ulysses manages to stop the doctor and makes sure his friends have to save the vet from him. Once Angelus does his job and helps, feathers begin to grow on their wings. After guessing what's happening to her, Miriam sets out to find her boyfriend, looking into all the parked cars. Despite the clue, Chun refuses to go back into the system and says goodbye to her friends, intending to go her own way. Ulysses and Greta arrive at Miriam's apartment, and the girl informs her lover that they are having a baby. At the same moment, Fred and his assistant turn off the traitors and drag them into the office, making the girl think her boyfriend has dumped her. The detainees try to convince Fred that he is wrong, but the warden won't listen to anything and suggests that the detainees make one last wish. After talking to the head of the department, Ulysses and Greta take him to the head boss's office and drag him inside to prove that there is no one there but the hamster. Only a surprise awaits all three. The real boss with big white wings who no one has ever seen before comes down to them. That's where the miniseries ends. Guys, write in the comments what you think about this series.